At first glance, the Hillerud family farm, located just outside of Velva, North Dakota, appears pretty typical. Fields, crops, grain bins, chickens. But when you take a closer look, you see pins, greens, and tee boxes.
We had horses here for a while. My sister had horses, but it's never really like a big thing in our family to ride horse or, want to ranch or anything like that. Kind of had this open space and we were just trying to figure out what to do with it.
I would come out here and hit balls into the pasture, and of course I could never find them because it was just tall and weeds and stuff.
So one day we were just sitting around talking and thought, what if we took the pasture and just turned this into a golf course? Like, I wonder how far it would be if we hit from one side to the other.
And like that, in what was a habitation for horses, turned into a pasture of possibilities.
You just kind of think, okay, like if I tee off here, where can I have a green? I knew it was going to be short because I don't have a lot of acres here. My longest hole is 183 yards. The short hole is 87 yards. I thought if I make it challenging and go over things, then that would add to the difficulty of it.
It just kind of grew out of this little plan, and then that summer he started mowing stuff out to see how it would go, and it's just kind of been growing ever since.
So I have 3 holes and 5 tee boxes. I use 1 tee box twice. You can play 6 holes without repeating yourself. It's changed a little bit over the years, not a whole lot. I made 1 hole longer because my longest hole used to be 160 yards, and I wanted to hit something a little bit longer, so I was able to make a new tee box.
Golf was big in the family for a period of time, but when life got busy, the game got rough. This project reignited that desire to get back on the tee and start swinging again.
We lived in Texas for 10 years, and I played a lot of golf down there, and I got to be pretty good because I played a lot. And after we moved back home, I started farming, and I just didn't really have time for golf, and I kind of lost interest. And I went for 4 or 5 years probably not even really playing golf at all.
There was definitely a point we were playing at a different course when I was back one summer, and I think he was so frustrated, he was just about ready to be done. And I said, well, just keep at it, it's not an easy game. And he did, he kept at it, and I think that really spurred him on to come out here and practice more and hit more balls.
Having your own golf course, you get to hit a lot of golf balls, and it helps your game, and it's just improved. Especially your short game, your chipping.
Ever since then, it's getting harder for me to beat him every year because he just kept improving and improving, and this year he's definitely doing better than he has. So yeah, this labor of love has really helped his golf game too.
When the course was finally completed, the next step was to figure out an appropriate name for it, and Gary thought of one that fit perfectly.
I'm going to call it the Hillerud Pasture Players Course and Chicken Resort. And at the time, we had chickens running around the farm, and they always seemed to enjoy themselves out here. So it just popped in my head, just like that. That's what I came up with. And Matt liked it, so he ran with it, and yeah. He made me some logos and stuff. Like there's one on my shirt right here.
A take off of like the Players Pasture Course, and it sounds like it could be something in like Sand Valley in Nebraska or wherever all these super nice courses are being built by all the big name architects, and most golf courses now are being built with big hotels and big resorts, and we have the Chicken Resort. So it was something just kind of fun, and I thought it was a pretty fitting name.
But no round is ever really complete without a spot to gather after the final putt. A farmer that rents Gary's land was out combining one year and pitched an idea on a 7th hole.
I've got 3 bins on the property that aren't being used because they're too small to store grain in anymore. He said, you should make a bar out of that. And I thought about it, I thought, that's a great idea because it's not far from the golf course. So the next year I just started working on it. My son Steven and I started taking things apart, and I took some panels out and turned it into a bar. We'll have 3 teams this year. Matt will be a captain, I'll be a captain, and Steve will be a captain.
Once a year, there's a tournament where the entire family comes back home to play. The trip is longer for some than others, but they all agree it's worth the drive.
The families grow up and they start having kids of their own, and everybody just kind of starts splitting apart and having their own celebrations, their own Christmas and Thanksgiving and all this stuff. And so I think it's nice when everybody comes back together and you have the family event that has kind of been lost.
getting all the kids home, then all our relatives from around here like to come and play too, so they get to see their cousins and aunts and uncles, and yeah, it's a great reason to get everybody together. Rather than just all go somewhere, we just all have a golf tournament where everybody gets together.
It's something that I look forward to. And I mean, there's nothing better than competing with your family and your dad, trying to win. And I have a big reputation to uphold around here, so that's always something fun to. Everybody's always gunning for Matt.
It takes a lot of work keeping this course up to par. Sometimes it's a scramble, but definitely worth every second, so the family can play through whenever they come back to visit.
Anytime I call him after work, I'll say, hey, what are you up to? Oh, I'm out on the golf course, either mowing or hitting balls or something. So he loves it out here, and it's definitely a source of pride for him to come out here and keep this up.
It's a lot of work, yeah. Well, Mary, my wife, does all the mowing for me, and she probably spends, oh boy, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours a week mowing for sure. And I try to mow it, every 3 or 4 days to keep it looking good. And I try to mow my greens every other day. And when you can see other people enjoy it, that's what I like.
Matt also developed course scorecards with the yardage of each hole that happens to have the chicken silhouette in the background. And when asked if there are any additions he'd consider making, Gary said maybe he'd like to develop real grass greens, and that's something he'll look into when he retires from his real job next year.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Build Your Base with Beef Sports Nutrition and Training Program.